Good morning, Ohio. James Lewis of the Grueling Truth Radio Network here with Wade Phillips, author of the new book, Son of Bum, Lessons My Dad Taught Me About Football and Life. Thank you, Coach Phillips, for joining us today.
Yeah, good to be talking to somebody for sure.
Oh, definitely. These days. Yeah, with everything going on, I can imagine it's getting quite boring for a lot of people out there.
Well, that's for sure. Hopefully everybody's staying safe.
Well, the nice thing is they have an excellent book they can read, and you can probably get it pretty much anywhere, I'm guessing?
Yeah, you sure can. Of course, Amazon will deliver right to your doorstep pretty quickly. So, and any of the book, I think any of those book people.
Excellent. So what was it like growing up the son of a football coach?
Well, a lot of it's like an army brat almost. We moved a lot. But in Texas, my dad was a high school coach when I was growing up, and with the mayor, the reverend, and the football coach are the most important people in town. And so it was pretty neat growing up, and we had a lot of success. He was a very good. He won a lot of games in high school coaching, and before he went on to the pros. But it was neat. It was fun being around football, being around the players.
So, being the son of the football coach in town, did you have a lot more people scrutinizing what you were doing, or a lot more people that were glad to see you because of your relation to your dad?
Oh, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to that. I'd go down to the Fieldhouse and see my dad, and, because if I wanted to see him, that's when I saw him. Because they worked, especially then, they worked a lot longer hours. So after school, I'd just go down to the Fieldhouse and watch the coaches, and they'd be on the chalkboard, talking football and talking X's and O's. And I'd just sit around and watch them. That way I got to see my dad.
Along with coaching, was he a teacher?
Yeah, no, well, I think he had, in Texas, I think he only had a few classes, maybe one or two PE classes, I guess.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. So they let him focus on the coaching part. Sounds good.
Yeah, football, like I say, in Texas is pretty big, and the head coach, they want him on football. They had a football class, 6th period every day, so they'd have football players working on football.
Nice. What are some of your fondest memories of you and your father?
Oh, all the way through, like I say, being kind of the water boy, going out with the players, and them winning so many games, and those were fun as a kid. And then I worked with for my dad for 10 years in the NFL. So that was probably the neatest part.
Did any of his high school or college players go on to any success that we'd know of?
I don't know if you'd know of it, but he had a player that went to junior college in Texas, and out of high school, went to junior college, and Coach Bryant called. My dad worked for Coach Bryant. Coach Bryant called him and asked him about he needed a defensive back and a running back, and my dad told him about this kid he had in high school, and the kid went on to play at Alabama and was a captain at Alabama.
Oh wow!
And they won the Sugar Bowl. So the guy was a successful coach and AD in Austin named Leon Fuller. He was but he was only 160 pounds. But he was a captain at Alabama in all conference players. So
oh wow,
it was a pretty neat story with him, because my dad gave him the money to take the bus to Alabama to try to play there. So Leon's always talked about that.
Was your father just as an interesting character as they say, or was he at home? Was he more quiet and reserved?
No, he was. he was. He was himself all the time, which kind of brought it out. And I always accused him of having a writer. I mean, somebody that wrote stuff for him that you enjoyed listening to or hearing about. He had great common sense, and so around the house or even football. I mean, again, we weren't around the house a whole lot together, but he had a lot of common sense. Like, if there's something wrong in football or whatever, he'd always say, well, we ought to do this. And then everybody'd say, well, why didn't we think of that? Yeah, that's right. So that we do it that way. So that's the way it was all the time.
You mentioned about coaching with your father. Was it a situation where he hired you, or did the organization hire you?
No, well, he hired me. I was coaching in college, and he was coaching with the Houston Oilers, and he hired me first year as a linebacker coach, and then the next year I moved to the defensive line, which it's in the book there, which I think people would be interesting about pro football and kind of what goes on, and then a father and son. But I worked for him there, and then we went to New Orleans. I was a defensive coordinator for him there, so we were 10 years together there. I coached with him in college too, at Oklahoma State and Kansas.
Did you feel any pressure being the son of the head coach?
Not really. I knew one thing. He wasn't going to put me in a situation that I couldn't handle. So I had enough confidence in him that he had enough confidence in me, I guess. So, and I was young. I was 27 years old, and I thought I could do anything then anyway. So I thought I knew everything till I found out I didn't.
And of course, you've went and had the other end of the dynamic, being the father with the son as your one of your coaches. Tell us, what's that like?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I saw it from both sides. I saw saw the son working with the dad, and then I got to see the other side, which is dad working with my son Wes, and I'm really proud of him. So I realized how proud my dad was of me. So that's pretty great way to coach with. And then our family is us and the Shulas are the only three generation NFL family. So to coach in the NFL. So that's pretty. We're proud of that.
Oh, definitely. I mean, a great accomplishment to be three generations. I mean, be unable to be a part of the NFL for so long and contribute so much to it. So, how similar and how different are your dad and your son?
My son? Mm-hmm. I don't know. He's got some of my dad's sense of humor. They're not real similar in that. My son's a little more serious, but a great football coach. So I'm hoping he does great things in the NFL also.
Now, of course, the important part that all our listeners are excited to hear. Will we see you on the sidelines again next year?
Well, as of right now, of course, nobody's going out right now, but hope so. I hope so. There's not any defensive coordinator jobs open, so. But I'm open to helping somewhere. I feel like I can help somebody win. Actually, the last 5 years of my career have been some of the best. I mean, with two teams, we won 59 games and been in 2 Super Bowls. One of them we won. The other one we lost to New England with 2 different teams. So, I'm on a pretty good run, so maybe I can help somebody.
Exactly. I was going to say, still doing amazing work in the NFL. Why quit while you're ahead? Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're enjoying doing what you love, you might as well keep doing it. So that's good to hear that you're still open to the option. Why does your book make such a great Father's Day present?
Oh, well, I think it just relates father and son. Um, my dad he was my high school coach. He coached me in college. I worked for him for 10 years. He was my hero. So, a lot of people can relate to their dad being their hero, I think. And, but he was a real person and a real personality. And I wrote the book really to honor him. And, not everybody had heard about him or too young or whatever, didn't know about him. But, there's not going to be another coach on the sideline wearing a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. So it's a pretty unique personality.
What are some of your favorite quotes of his?
Oh, wow. He had so many of them. I think people can look it up on YouTube, and they're in the book. In fact, the chapters in the book are sayings that he said, and then I followed up on those things. They're all in the book, which there's a whole bunch of them. But my favorite thing that he said was one year we had the great Earl Campbell, and one year they decided that the preseason test to test whether the players were in shape or not was to run the mile instead of running 40s, which, Earl Campbell wasn't a miler. He had 34-inch thighs, so he didn't make the mile. And of course, all the press was out there, and they all run up to my dad and they say, Bum, what are you going to do? Earl didn't make the mile. He said, well, hell, if it's third in the mile, we won't give it to him. But we'll give it to him the rest of the time, which we did. So that was just one of the things that he came out with.
Definitely. And then there was one about him, Earl Campbell, being going down slow, but getting up slow, but going down slow.
Yeah.
He had all kinds of. Yeah, I was going to say, it kind of reminds me of this other book that we've been reviewing. There's a new book about Yogi Berra and how Yogi had some of the more interesting, insightful quotes in baseball history, and of course your dad having some of the best NFL quotes.
Yeah, well, Yogi was going to take the fork in the road, right?
Yeah. I want to get your thoughts before we let you go on the NFL draft. Are there any players that you would be specifically excited to coach?
Yeah, I mean, I look for pass rushers first. I think Chase, I've seen a little bit of him, and yeah, I mean, there's always players out there that you like. I always look for pass rushers. Of course, defensive backs that can cover man to man, which are hard to find. But I always like to see if we can find a pass rusher or two. We found a few since that I've coached. J.J. Watt, and Aaron Donald, and Von Miller, and Marcus Ware lately. So it's always to try to find somebody like that, or find somebody that's a dominant pass rusher that can be a great player.
Well, before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where's the best place to get the books and to follow you?
Yeah, well, they can get the book at all the book places. Like I said, Amazon will deliver it, the next day. So, but I'm at Son of Bum on Twitter, and when they read the book, if they got a question or if they like the book, or whatever, they can tweet me and I can answer questions or tell me if they like it or not.
Awesome. Sounds great, Coach Phillips. We appreciate having you on the show today.
Hey, enjoyed being here. Thanks.
Welcome.